Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's All Meta Mode podcast with Gypsy and myself, Amanda Digger DeGaz. Before we get started with tonight's episode, just a reminder, DirtDigestMagazine.com is a monthly treasure hunting magazine that's put out on DirtDigestMagazine.com. I know that they will be looking for March. So basically, the submissions will be from, you send them in now for March's issue. If you found something pretty cool recently, you want to email MHAER at Dirt Digest Magazine. Give them a little write-up on what it is you found, where you found it, and what machine you might have been using to find it, and when you might have found it. And send it on over, because that would be great. You can check out, all those finds get put into the each monthly magazine. So definitely something you want to try out if you found something cool recently, or heck, it could even be a year ago. Just say when you found it, and get it out there. So the next reminder is the allmetamode.com forum. So I'm going to put that in a link for that in the chat. So if you go to allmetamode.com, there is a metal detecting forum that actually has, different conversations going on, treasure hunting stuff. It's pretty cool. So if you haven't given it a go or gone over and checked it out, definitely do. It's pretty cool. And it doesn't hurt to give it a good look. So, all right. Well, with that, we will get on to the show. Hey, Gypsy, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Amanda?
I am well.
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I actually spent quite a bit of time framing up some of those finds I've gotten. So I currently have two gigantic frames, and then two medium size and four small ones ready to. I'm going back and forth on it though. I'm trying to decide if I want to do a handwritten description and put it in with the item, or if I'm actually just going to take a picture of the display and type up each item underneath and then have it laminated. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on how I want to present it. So, yeah.
Well, do you use the Riker cases to display those, or you said okay, cool. Yep. So those are the ones that have glass or plastic?
These ones are glass. These are actually,
okay.
I forget which company it was. They're made in America, and they're really nice. They have 2 layers of foam, and they're held in with pins instead of those brackets.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That way,
if you have some of those as well.
Yeah, that way if you have thicker items or bigger items, you can take out a level of that padding and put them in there too. So it's just one of those things. I know in the past what I did is I would letter it and put the A next to an item and then have pictures of the finds when they came out of the ground, and then you'd flip it over this paper, and it would explain what it was and give the number of mintage if it was a coin, and then I'd have it laminated to go with the display. And I think maybe I'm just getting lazy and going, you know what, an easier way to do this might be take the glass off, take a picture of it, throw it into my editor, and then do a write-up underneath that, and then print it and laminate it.
That's a good idea. So when you display them in these cases, do you use any kind of like felt or fabric or anything, or you just use the foam?
I just use the foam, and then I think you and we'd gone back and forth on it before. I do the silica packets. That way everything stays, dry and doesn't, it just keeps the humidity up here. I know I don't have air conditioning, and it gets hot and humid in the summer. And it can ruin some stuff, so I always keep silica packets in them too. But I had thought about doing the foam, the felts behind it to make it look kind of pretty, but it just doesn't work for some of the items. And
Yeah.
for my own displays, I definitely do.
Okay. Yeah. I bought some felt recently that has a sticky back, but I found that if you get the slightest little wrinkle, it's pain because it's sticky and it's hard to pull it back up. I thought, oh yeah, that'll keep it from slipping too, but yeah, that's kind of a pain too. But that's cool. You said you've got how many more cases?
I think I have 5 more to do. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's about it. How about you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I went digging with a friend last week, and we went to an old plantation.
Ooh.
And yeah, it was really fun. The only problem, it was so grown up, even though it's winter. In Texas, the area, we've gotten a lot of rain this year, and it's in the East Texas. So it was closer up near where my parents live, and they get a lot more rain than we do here. And there were so many thorny vines, even though we had a machete, and she brought her machete, I brought my hatchet, and even still, I got briar scratches on my arms, and I've got sumac, I'm not allergic to poison ivy, but I must be allergic to either sumac or poison oak. And I got it on my arm, and it's itching like crazy.
Ooh.
But it was a lot of fun. We ended up, it was just so hard that the old plantation burned down in the 80s. So it was lived in up to the 80s. And the lady that had bought it, purchased it, she was going to turn it into a bed and breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, really sad that it burned. I got to see some photos of it. I think the last photos, it looked like it had a 50-something car parked in front of it, which was really cool.
Oh, I saw that picture.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you. And anyway, I did find like 2 license plates that were, I think, 40s or 50s, 40, somewhere in there. It fit with kind of the photo. So I thought that was kind of neat. And we ended up, it was 7 acres, and we decided to hike through the woods and try to find, there's an area where it kind of intersects with the someone else's property. So we went along the fence line there, and then it ends down at a creek. And I wanted to go see the creek, Every time I think, creek, they would have, back in the 1800s, they would have, taken their horses and, got a lot of water from there, etc. So we were hiking back from the creek up the hill, and I got this screaming signal. And I thought, okay, it was kind of close where it looked like they had buried some power lines. Not power lines, some gas lines. And I'm like, this signal's got to be a can. Dug down, and it was an old compact lid, probably from the 20s or 30s. And I was like, how did this get all the way over here near this creek? So I go up a little way from there, and then sure enough, there turned out to be another homestead on the property that we didn't know about.
That's awesome.
And we found the well. We found the well. It actually turned out that I probably found more finds from that home site than I did the plantation, because around the plantation was just so grown up. But my personal best find from the plantation turned out to be a skeleton key that I was really excited about, because I've only ever found 2 skeleton keys, and those 2 were made of iron. I dug them at the dump. So I was proud of my brass skeleton key.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it had to have been from, one of the doors from that plantation. So I was really excited about that.
Yeah.
And by the way, the plantation dates back to Civil War. So according to the owner that lived in the house, that when it burned, she was out before it burned. She was out in the gardening out back, and she was digging, and she found a Civil War bullet in the garden there, which the garden area was so grown up. It was just hard to dig in. So we're trying to figure out a way to get in there. I don't know if we can. We're almost tempted to pay somebody to come in and help us chop down some of that stuff, because the woman that I went there with is actually inheriting the property. So once the papers are signed, she will actually be able to do that. But right now, we couldn't really do that yet. Go in there and chop any of those little, trees. We could chop the brush and stuff, but we can't really chop any of the small little stuff, the other stuff. So anyway, yeah, it was quite the experience, though, and it was fun. It was fun.
Well, there's a couple comments in the chat on Bill Hayes had said to try some rhubarb. I think that's rhubarb on it. Smash it to get the juice, and you put it on your poison ivy spots and let it dry. He says it works kind of like calamine, but it's not chalky. And then Bill Ohio Relic Hunter had said calamine. He's a friend of his. I think calamine's a friend, I think, of all of ours. And then
I've got some of that. Yeah, I'm sure.
And the last few times I've actually used straight rubbing alcohol, and then at night to keep from itching, like I've had it on my arms. I do ice packs on my arms when I go to sleep.
Oh, cool.
And that seems to help. It doesn't. It's bad when you're cold or you have a sunburn. If you have the mix of the sunburn poison ivy, it's not that much fun.
Yeah. Right. Now, Bill Ohio Relic Center says Epsom salt bath helps too, and I need to do that as well.
I don't do a little dance, but I do say a bunch of curses. So, when I'm putting the rubbing alcohol on.
Right. I have some of that Benadryl itch cream.
Yep.
Stuff. It's kind of a gel that I put on there today just to keep it from, But
no, I think the last time I went through an entire one of those Benadryl bottles, and it did not touch it. So then I was like, you know what? What's going to dry it out the fastest? Rubbing alcohol is in all that, and so I'm like, that's it. I'm going straight rubbing alcohol. Not good if you don't want to scar, though, because if you've already itched it and you're doing the rubbing alcohol, you're going to end up with like little scars, but meh. Figure I already have plenty of those on, so. But that's awesome that you found that skeleton key, and, to find the second home site, while you were out there. Most of the times it takes multiple times if you're not, doing the LiDAR or mapping it.
Yeah. We were really surprised that second homestead was on there. And once we finally, started working our way up and I kept digging targets, then that's when we saw the other well. There was a well there. And yeah, we brought our magnet. I mean, I had my magnet, so we used the magnets. The one well, I don't know if it's a well, I guess you'd call it a cistern. It's the biggest thing I've ever seen at the plantation. I've never seen one that big. I mean, this thing is massive. Never seen one that big.
You'll have to get a picture of it next time. Or did you get a picture?
Yeah, I got video. So maybe I'll send like a clip or something and see if I can get a photo. There is some steps that someone pushed over the cover part of it, so animals, would keep from falling in, because it was filling up with water and stuff, but they didn't cover it completely. But yeah.
It's awesome. That's awesome, though. And did you say when you were hoping to get back over there?
She's going to talk to the present owner and talk to her about, the old plantation did have slave quarters on it. Mm-hmm. And she wants to know where the slave quarters were. Which, yeah, I want to know too. Yeah. And there is another little house that the lady, the owner, calls it a cabin. We explored in there, and it looks like it was probably built, but it did have shiplap inside. But the outside, they had it covered in something that looked more like something from the 40s or 50s. Mm-hmm. But it looks like someone lived in that house. But we don't think that it was the slave quarters. I mean, it could have been where the slave quarters were, and that was built on top of it. We're just not sure. But we would really like to find that. So she's supposed to talk to the owner. I don't know how soon we're going to sign, that over to her. So it may take a while. I don't know. Never know.
And I heard you have something fun planned for tomorrow?
Yeah. I don't know if Mike is in the chat. I know Michael Fuson is, but Mike Hare and Dennis, I think I saw him in the chat a while ago. We're going to go on an adventure tomorrow. Ooh. And I'm really excited. Dennis Dennis has lived in kind of the North Texas area for quite a while, and he has done so much research. And if y'all listen to, I know, the Tuesday night podcast, you know how knowledgeable he is on, just so much history. But we are going to be detecting a historical site where a lot of it was probably might have been post-Civil War, but it's right up, very close. But there were, I'm not going to spoil it. I'll wait. Dennis says that's because he's old. But Dennis wants to put a little more info in there. I don't want to give away any of his spots or anything, so I'm not going to talk about the history really on it, but what I will say is it has a lot of potential. I know he has hunted some of the area, but it's over 100 acres to detect. So a lot of potential to get on to something. He did tell me that he did find, he said it, it's a Confederate reunion ground. So there you have it. Anyway.
It's awesome.
Really excited.
I wish I could come down.
I know.
There was a question in the chat for you. Where did it go? It asked about gold hunting, if you've done any gold hunting.
I think it was from my, let's see, come here. Let me see, I thought I said her. Mike C. says, Gypsy, do you ever hunt gold or silver with your rods? So I do have some divining rods. That's what you want to call them. Mm-hmm. I actually gave my pair away a while back when I was visiting Mike in Ohio, and I had given them to a. We were helping out. We were actually helping look for a body, and for a missing person's body. Yep. We were helping with. You remember us talking about that, yeah. And I left them with the detective there. She was really interested in them, and it was funny. I talked to her the next day, texted with her, and she, next thing I know, she's out at the graveyard testing it, the graves and stuff to see if that would work and stuff. So really, really interesting, really cool.
Actually, from you talking about that story is what made me go out and get mine. Because the cemetery, when you came to visit, I showed you the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
And all we have on the history of it is that some bodies, like this is quote unquote, some bodies have been moved. So, I was like, well, it'll be interesting to see. And it definitely, it showed that there was still, I think it was around 8 different spots, like even a few that the headstones were gone, but we're kind of not surprised by that because we found one when the people who originally built this house decided to take and use one as a stepping stone, apparently, into our back, into the back slider. So when we were ripping that area out, John found one and immediately put it back in the cemetery. But so we know that there's others probably that we'll probably find as we do more work around the house. But yeah, it showed that there were multiple bodies still there. So, and outside the cemetery as well. So
outside, okay. Yep.
Wow. But we already knew there was those 2 big gravestones outside the cemetery, but it actually showed in other spots too, like near there, which would make sense if it was a family outside of the cemetery. So, but yeah, your story on that got me thinking. I'm like, oh, I should definitely get some and try it. So
it worked for you. That's cool.
Yeah.
That was really neat.
They don't need the headstones. They do though. So we know that they're, well, I guess if they move the bodies and don't take the graves, I don't know. I don't understand why they did and what they did, but.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, over time, that so many of the old headstones get destroyed and stuff. So it's hard to know that anybody was there. But as close as that is to where you live, I would want to know.
Yeah.
Right next to your house. So, I would want to know how big that cemetery is. You don't want poltergeist to happen to me.
Well, I do. I'm strange as it is anyway, you know that. So anytime I enter it or whatnot, I'm like, hey, I'm just here to help try to clean up your living space. You guys keep making a damn mess. Another big tree had fallen in there and I was taking some limbs out. So, yeah. So I joke around. So hopefully they don't take offense.
So back to Mike's question, though, I did last summer with Dennis. We were out in I can't give much away about this, but Dennis and I were looking for a cache that has a bunch of gold in it. And I did use my divining rods for that, and we think we got the area located, but by the time we had kind of gotten to the area, that's when that snake jumped out when I was swinging my coil out of the edge of the rocks. So kind of took it as it was time to go, and poor Dennis was about to pass out from the heat. The heat was insane that day, so we will be back, and I need to order me a new pair for sure, because those things can come in very handy for many things. So anyway, let's talk a little about our what we had talked about earlier, just for a short while today.
Yeah, that sounds good. So Gypsy and I earlier were talking about different reference material, reference books that we might have that, one might have and the other might not. And I know that, like, two of my favorite items to find, or even I also purchase, is Civil War tokens and Hard Times tokens, and then love tokens. So those are the three that I generally, in the winter especially, is I'll keep an eye out for. So ones that I've dug that are in horrible shape, I'll usually try to find one that's in a better condition, so that way I can have them side by side, have the one that I dug. Especially, I've had to give quite a few back. So I have pictures. So what I do is I get a replacement for myself. But there's a Hard Times token. I think I have the 6th edition, and it's Russell Rouleau, Rulau. So it's all the Hard Times tokens from 1832 to 1844. So it's a little bit relatively earlier than the Civil War tokens. But man, this is such a fascinating. It's not a huge book. It's got full-size pictures though, so you can actually match up the coin, kind of like those red books.
That's what I like. Yeah, the red books, to be able to match them up, because some of them are so similar, and sometimes it's just the slightest little difference. So, where did you purchase this book, or do you remember?
This one I had on my Amazon wish list. So I think my sister might have got it for me for my birthday. But yes, I'm pretty sure it was Amazon. And I think it was maybe $15. But it's
wow, really?
Yeah,
That's not bad at all.
Not gigantic. It gives the introduction to it that I really like, and then a lot of the history behind, how Hard Times tokens came around. And then they have state Hard Times tokens. They have presidential Hard Times tokens, and then different businesses. So, yeah, that's one of my top favorites, but especially since it's winter and I am on the prowl for some new Hard Times tokens to add to my collection. So
that is cool. I dug a tax token in the dump the other day, the week before, I think it was. Wasn't in the best condition, but at least it was a brass one. A lot of the tax tokens, I find are usually the aluminum. But I love the tokens. I think my favorite token I've ever found was the one that I found while I was in Arizona digging in the dump with Tim Ringy and his wife, Carlotta. So that was really, really cool. I love digging the tokens. So I'm not looking to get in that token. Do you have any more token books?
I do. I didn't bring them in with me, so I'll have to get more names of different ones. I know I have there's even earlier types tokens, are communion tokens. Those I haven't found any. Hoping to eventually. Definitely was able to add it to my bucket list of something I'd like to find. So the communion tokens would be for the different churches. So that's a different type. And then the Civil War tokens, I have an actual book on Civil War tokens, and I can't think of who the author is.
Ooh, now that is cool. I would love to get that book. Not that but you know. Thanks, Diggin' Buddy. Glad you joined us tonight. Appreciate it. Yeah, so
I have
is
two
that all the
favorite.
token books you got?
Yeah, in the room with me.
Okay,
I'm building.
how many token books do you have?
I think I have 4 or 5.
Wow.
I basically, if anybody's ever, if people ask you what you want and for birthdays and Christmas or whatnot, usually I have a big list of reference books that, this is what I'm more interested in now. So I'll be like, oh, I really want this book. Sometimes I'm surprised with ones that I didn't even know existed. I know you can keep your eye out at yard sales and antique shops for the old red books, but there's also back in the day, with some of those older buttons, not military buttons, but the actual what is the type of like the jet buttons, but it's not jet, it's like black glass. Some of the more antique buttons that are fancy, for domestic wear and whatnot. There's books like that for people that.
Kind of like the ones we dug out of the button books, or
yes, like the fancy ones. So I've got,
okay.
yes, just like that. So, and then I can't think of the type of material, but so there's those type of books as well. Plus, if you go through, a lot of people are selling sewing baskets and things like that. So you can actually probably score some pretty cool buttons that might be worth a bit of money. But I have no idea where I was going on this. Oh yeah, so I'm looking. I have my 2 favorite military button books in front of me.
So that probably would be my favorite.
And these 2, I think one of them is harder to get a hold of than the other. So the Uniform Buttons of the United States, 1776 to 1865 by Warren Tice. That is one that I was gifted by my brother.
And it's
yeah, it's
like
so it's
$300.
So Warren Tice autographed it, and it's
wow.
So that's pretty neat. And it's a phenomenal reference book. And then the other one that I have is the Record of American Uniform and Historical Buttons, the Bicentennial Edition, which is the Alpheus Albert book. So if people talk about, is it Albert's book that you found the button information on? That's the one that, a lot of people talk about as well when they're referencing it. So that one, I'm pretty sure you can find on Amazon, or I'm pretty sure this one came from at the time when it was still open, but a local bookstore in our area.
Cool. Wow.
But I'm pretty sure they do have it. I think I've seen it on Amazon before, so.
That's neat. Yeah, Amazon, I buy way too much off of Amazon, and I've looked for some books in the past from Amazon, but usually the ones that I want are the really expensive ones and harder to find. But because mostly what I use a lot of times is my first go-to is Google. I Google about everything I find if I don't have a book for it. It sounds like you've got more of, of course, I've got the coin books, but and I've got a few Civil War books, but most of the Civil War books that I have been able to find, I bought at, I think one I bought at a garage sale, and the other one I bought at it might have been an antique store, I think. So I didn't pull out any books that I have. So I don't have as many, but I really want to start. I like your idea that you have about putting together like a wish list.
Yeah.
And then that way when people want to know what you want, I can say, well, here's my wish list on Amazon or wherever. And that's a great idea.
And it's it's not gear. A lot of times it's not super expensive, so I'm not, I don't technically want presents. But,
right.
It's also learning, so I love it. I know that I think we have quite a big book. It's almost like an Audubon, but it's not. But if you think about the size and shape of how those look, the Audubon books, it is Arrowheads, and that is a phenomenal book. So I'm pretty excited for that.
I do have, or I did have, I didn't say did have several Arrowhead books, but I think I gave them to my brother. He's a big Arrowhead. He can find Arrowhead so easy, but I love Arrowhead books as well. I didn't know you had any Arrowhead books. That's cool.
Yeah, an Arrowhead. Yes, I haven't found any yet. But in the event that I do, I have a book. Yeah. And then, a lot of different areas. You have books on the history of the town. It might be one of those, short summary of the town with pictures and the history, or, there might be certain areas in your area that are more notable and actually have books written on them as well. So I have quite a few of those for all the surrounding towns and some notable areas. And those I really enjoyed. They were very well written and have the maps as well in them. So kind of neat. Can get you on the right path of where to look for maps if you don't know, different areas to search for them.
That's my usually go-to in the small surrounding towns. Is I usually buy the local little historic, history books, and it can give you so a wealth of information. Sorry, lost my earphone. But yeah, I love that idea for references. That's probably what I have more than anything. I have quite a few books on Galveston, Texas, from when I lived in Galveston, because the history there is just so fascinating. So I can imagine that your local history books are probably much thicker because it dates back a little further than it does around here.
Well, also, so kind of in a roundabout way. So, like, my town used to be one big town, and now it's 4 towns. So each of those 4 towns has its own history. So if I put them all together, it would be one big one for the area, but they cheated and split up the area. And there's north and south and east and west. And
wow. Oh, that's a good idea. Somebody in chat said that they found several history books at the used bookstores. Yeah, we have a really good used bookstore here and right now I can't even think of the name of it. Oh, man. Half Price Books, I think, is what it's called. And I love going there. You can even bring in other books that you don't want anymore and trade them in and bring back books. So that's a great idea. I like that.
And one of the things too is, sadly, as much as this is, but keep your eye out coming up, because if different museums and whatnot are, they'll be trying to sell things and make money to kind of make up for the past year of not being able to probably put on the events that they would. They might actually be selling different books as well. So that's something
right.
I'll keep an eye on. And I've actually seen some different ones are actually selling, items. So I'm like, what? But something to keep an eye on.
That's a great idea.
But I'm hoping eventually, if they do, maybe they'll have some books that they'll part ways with or different things like that. Same with libraries. I've seen a lot of different libraries getting rid of books too. Whether they have new versions in or whatnot. I know a lot of people do that electronic, different library thing. As long as you have a library card, you can go to the site and I can't think of the name of the site, but basically you can sign in and take books out of, like, virtually out of any library. So I've used that a couple times to check out. And obviously they have historical books and whatnot as well, so... When I get that...
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, when I find that link, I will let you know what that is.
Cool. Yeah, I got a book on, what is the name of that town? It's not all that far from where I live, and I was doing some research, and I found the perfect book at a garage sale. So I was like, can't beat, $1 book at a garage sale.
Yeah.
It apparently used to be an old library book. So.
That's cool.
Anyway.
You were talking about buckles too. So I do have a pretty good buckles one. And again, I didn't bring it in the room with me. So a lot of these books I'll probably take pictures of and throw up on the All Metal Mode Facebook page. And if you want, I could share it over to yours as well of the different books.
Yeah, I would love to, because I'm really interested in the buckles, buttons, and the tokens.
Yes.
If you've got photos, that would be great. Feel free to post them over on Zero Discrimination group page, because I know I'm really interested myself in looking up some of those books and see if I can get a hold of some of those for sure. So be sure and definitely post those. Yeah, I'll be sure once Amanda does go over and check them out, and then she's going to put them on the All Metal Mode, you said?
Yeah, I could do them on mine, the All Metal Mode, and then the Your Zero Discrimination page.
Okay, cool. Yep. And Bill Hayes, I think he's asking, do you have the what is it? I don't have my glasses on.
Kirkus? Yes,
book?
I think that might be it, the one. Well, one of the ones I have.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm definitely interested in taking a look at those. For me, I don't have as many of those type of reference books. So I know when I very first got started metal detecting, to me, my go-to books were the Charles Garrett had so many books, anything from, kind of how to get started. And for me, I'd moved to Galveston, Texas, so I did a lot of beach hunting. So I wanted to learn as much as I could, about detecting on the beach. So I found the Charles Garrett Sand and Sea book.
Mm-hmm.
Was amazing. I think I read it 2 or 3 times, probably. I'm not even sure if I have it anymore. I think I've bought and given several away to friends and stuff. But that was a really good reference book for me, especially if you're getting started or if you're interested in beach hunting. Another one was by Charles Garrett, Successful Coin Hunting. That was another one. I'm trying to think. Steve Moore actually has written around 22 books. He has a really good relic one, and the pictures in there, he's got some phenomenal photos in there as well. If you get a chance. I bet you could find it on the Charles Garrett. I'm sure he sells them on Amazon as well. But the Charles Garrett website, I bet you they're on the Garrett website as well, probably. I might talk to him about getting his website link and sharing it on the Zero Discrimination page as well, because he's got some really good books that are great reference books. Trying to think what else.
If anybody is looking for that, Kirksis, Plates and Buckles of American Military, they have it on eBay for like $25.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the older versions are like the original, the first editions and whatnot. Yeah, they're like 200 and whatnot, but
oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. I mean, some of them are in awful shape, but definitely, yeah. So that's what I do is I keep an eye on all those different places for them, and slowly add to the collection. I think in our area, we even have stone walls books. So it talks about all the different stone walls and the making of the stone walls and some maps of the stone walls, and then
I didn't know about that.
Yep. Then they even have books on the different railroad tracks and where the actual stops were.
Really?
So yeah, different things like that. So.
Was it you I was talking to? No, it wasn't you. I was talking to someone the other day that was talking about maps. And they were telling me that, what was it, that on there, they used to even, on some maps, that they would put some railroad stuff that wasn't even there. I'll have to find out more information and we'll talk about it another time. I know we're running out of time. But anyway, it was really interesting. Might have been Mike I was talking to. Oh, yeah, it was Mike I was talking to. Hopefully we'll be having our other special guest soon that knows a lot about maps. And I think he was telling me about this guy that knows so much about maps, and that was that's what it was, the tidbit of information. We'll wait and talk more about that when we have him on. I think Mike is going to, we're going to swap out maybe one night where Amanda and Mike do the show, and then another night where him and I do the show or something like that. I don't know what we're going to do, you know. But anyway, be sure and check that out. It should be hopefully coming up pretty soon. And let's see, Swamp Fox found Relic Quest. That's the name of that book by Steve Moore. It's on Amazon. So, yeah, cool.
Oh, they have marbles books and glasses books and glasses as in glass bottles.
Bottle books?
Yeah, bottle books and marble books. Yeah, you name it. That's why we brought home. We're building a whole bunch more bookshelves to fit my my collection of.
Our collection never ends.
Really.
we not only bring home the rustic, dirty finds that we dig out of the ground, but we end up having to collect books to look all of our finds up. So it's funny. That's funny.
I love cone top beer cans too. Yeah, there's a whole book on that too.
Yeah. There
old
are,
tins.
I mean, old tins, bottle caps. A lot of people collect that. I'm sure there's even one on, I wouldn't, shotgun shells. Who knows? There's so many different things out there. Different bullets.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep, the different weapons.
Yeah. Guns.
Yes.
Our list goes on and on. Well, I think we were going to cut it a little short tonight because I'm actually getting ready to roll and go hit the road and head up towards Mike and Dennis tonight so we can get an early start tomorrow digging because it's not summertime yet and daylight. We burn daylight too fast for the late start. So, and I've got quite a drive. So, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed talking about all these books. Now you're getting me excited to go hop on Amazon tonight and see what I can find. And when I get to where I'm going. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, fingers crossed, y'all. One of us, either Dennis, Mike, or I, or my friend Zola is going as well. So one of us finds something good. And hopefully we'll have a video to show you and some photos. So.
Will you travel safe and best of luck and have a wonderful time tomorrow? I'll be living vicariously through you while I work. So send me pictures.
You know, if Mike or I find anything cool, we'll be shooting a photo.
Please do.
So.
Please do.
It was fun tonight. I had fun. We might have to talk more about references another time because I really like that subject. And once I think my reference books are going to grow after tonight.
Yes. Nothing wrong with that. All right.
Well, thank you all. You all have a wonderful night. We'll see you in the morning, Dennis.
Good night, all.
Good night.